In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Around 570 AD, in the heart of the Arabian Peninsula, stood the sacred city of Makkah. Although it was a small desert city, Makkah was the spiritual center of Arabia because it was home to the Kaaba, the house of Allah. According to Islamic tradition, the Kaaba was built by Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Prophet Ismail alayhi salam by the command of Allah. For centuries, Arab tribes traveled there for pilgrimage and trade. Even though many people had fallen into idol worship, they still honored the Kaaba above all else. Meanwhile, in the south, Yemen was ruled by the Abyssinians. Its powerful governor was Abraha al-Ashram. Abraha dreamed of making Yemen the new religious center of Arabia. To achieve this, he built a magnificent cathedral in Sana'a called Al-Qullays, decorated with marble, gold, silver, and precious ornaments. It was one of the grandest buildings of its time. Then Abraha announced, "From this day forward, the people of Arabia will no longer travel to the Kaaba. They will come to my cathedral instead." But his plan failed. The Arab tribes remained loyal to the Kaaba and continued their journeys to Makkah. Abraha's magnificent cathedral was largely ignored. His anger grew even stronger after an incident reported in classical Islamic historical sources. An Arab man secretly entered the cathedral and deliberately desecrated it as an act of insult. Enraged, Abraha made a terrifying vow: "I will not rest until I destroy the Kaaba." He immediately began preparing one of the largest military campaigns Arabia had ever seen. Thousands of soldiers were gathered from Yemen, along with horses, camels, weapons, and supplies. But the most terrifying part of his army was something the Arabs had never witnessed before: gigantic war elephants. Because of these elephants, this historic event became known as Ashab al-Fil, the army of the elephant. With his mighty army, Abraham marched towards Makkah. But he had no idea that ahead of him awaited a power no army on earth could ever defeat.
Abraha was determined to fulfill his vow. From the capital of Yemen, Sana'a, he assembled a massive army of thousands of soldiers, horses, camels, and heavily armed war elephants, then began marching toward Mecca. At the front of the army was a gigantic elephant. Some classical Islamic historical sources mention its name as Mahmud, although the Quran does not mention the elephant's name. The army crossed vast deserts, rugged mountain valleys, and ancient Arabian settlements. Wherever they passed, fear spread among the people, and many abandoned their homes to escape the approaching force. However, not every Arab tribe accepted Abraha's advance. The brave Qatham tribe, led by Nufail ibn Habib al-Qathami, stood in his path. They knew that if the Kaaba were destroyed, the most sacred sanctuary in Arabia would be dishonored. A fierce battle erupted. The desert sky was filled with dust. Swords clashed, spears flew through the air, arrows darkened the sky. Despite their courage, the Qatham tribe was defeated. Their leader, Nufail ibn Habib, was captured. Abraha intended to execute him, but Nufail pleaded, "Do not kill me. I know these lands well. I can guide your army safely to Mecca." Abraha accepted his offer. Keeping Nufail as a prisoner and guide, the army continued its march. Along the way, several other Arab tribes also attempted to resist the army, but none could withstand the overwhelming strength of the elephant army. Eventually, Abraha reached the region of Taif. The Thaqif tribe quickly realized that defeating such a powerful army was impossible. Instead of fighting, they chose peace. They told Abraha, "We are not the guardians of the Kaaba. The Kaaba is in Mecca. We will show you the road that leads there." They then sent a guide to lead Abraha's army toward Mecca. Meanwhile, news spread rapidly throughout the holy city. A massive elephant army was marching toward the Kaaba. Fear gripped the people of Mecca. But no one could have imagined that Allah was about to protect His sacred house in a way that the world would remember forever.
Abraha's massive elephant army finally reached Al-Makhtum, a place just outside Mecca where they established their military camp. After setting up camp, Abraha gave a direct order to his soldiers: seize every camel, goat, and livestock belonging to the people around Mecca. The soldiers spread across the surrounding valleys. They captured hundreds of camels and other animals. Among them were nearly 200 camels of Abdul Muttalib ibn Hashim, the respected leader of the Quraysh and the caretaker of the sacred Kaaba. News of the confiscated camels quickly spread throughout Mecca. The people realized this was no longer merely a military campaign. The destruction of the Kaaba was now imminent. Soon afterward, Abraha sent a messenger into Mecca with a clear message: "We have not come to fight the people of Mecca. Our only purpose is to destroy the Kaaba. If you do not resist us, there will be no war between us." This message filled the people of Mecca with deep concern. Abdul Muttalib understood that no army in Mecca could stand against such an overwhelming force. Instead of preparing for battle, he decided to meet Abraha personally. Accompanied by several leaders of the Quraysh, he entered Abraha's military camp. The moment Abraha saw Abdul Muttalib, he was deeply impressed by his dignity, noble appearance, and commanding presence. According to classical Islamic historical sources, Abraha rose from his royal throne and seated Abdul Muttalib beside him as a sign of great respect. Abraha then asked, "What is it that you want?" Abdul Muttalib replied calmly, "Your soldiers have taken 200 of my camels. I have come to ask that they be returned." Abraha was astonished. He said, "I expected you to speak about the Kaaba. Instead, you ask only for your camels." Abdul Muttalib answered with words that would be remembered throughout history. "I am the owner of the camels, so I ask for my camels. But the Kaaba has its own Lord, and He Himself will protect His house." For a moment, Abraha remained silent. Then he ordered his soldiers to return Abdul Muttalib's camels. Abdul Muttalib returned safely to Mecca. He gathered the people and said, "Leave the city and take refuge in the mountains. Allah will decide what to happen." Before leaving, he stood at the door of the sacred Kaaba and raised his hands in sincere prayer. "O Allah, every owner protects his own property. Today, protect your sacred house. Without your help, we have no power." After making this heartfelt supplication, he joined the people in the mountains. Silence fell over Mecca. All eyes were now fixed upon Abraha's massive army, and the world stood on the brink of witnessing a miracle that would be remembered forever in the verses of the Quran.
From the surrounding mountains, the people of Mecca watched in silence. Below them, Abraha's mighty army made its final preparations. The morning sun slowly rose over the desert. Thousands of soldiers stood in perfect formation, armed with swords, spears, and shields. At the front of the army stood the enormous war elephants. Leading them was the largest elephant, referred to in some classical Islamic historical sources as Mahmud, although the Quran does not mention its name. The army crossed deserts, rocky valleys, and ancient Arabian settlements. Wherever they marched, fear spread among the people. Villages were abandoned as families fled for safety. Not every Arab tribe accepted Abraha's advance. The brave Khatham tribe, led by Nufail ibn Habib al-Khathami, stood in his path. They knew that if the Kaaba were destroyed, the most sacred sanctuary in Arabia would be dishonored. A fierce battle erupted, the desert filled with dust. Swords clashed, spears flew through the air, arrows darkened the sky. Despite their courage, the Khatham tribe was defeated. Their leader, Nufail ibn Habib, was captured. Abraha planned to execute him. But Nufail pleaded, "Do not kill me. I know the roads to Mecca. I will guide your army." Abraha accepted the offer. Keeping Nufail as a prisoner and guide, the army continued its march. Several other Arab tribes also tried to stop the advancing army. None of them could withstand the overwhelming strength of the elephant army. Eventually, Abraha reached the region of Taif. The Thaqif tribe realized that resistance would be hopeless. Instead of fighting, they chose peace. They told Abraha, "We are not the guardians of the Kaaba. We will show you the road to Mecca." A guide was sent with the army. Meanwhile, terrifying news reached Mecca. A mighty elephant army was approaching the sacred house. Fear spread throughout the city. But no one yet knew that Allah was about to protect his sacred house in a way the world would remember forever. The sky was filled with countless flocks of Ababil birds. By the command of Allah, they began dropping stones of Sijjil upon the army. Every single stone struck its intended target with perfect precision. No shield could protect them, no mountain could hide them. There was no escape from the punishment of Allah. Allah says in the Quran, "Then he made them like eaten straw." Surah Al-Fil, Ayah 105. Within moments, the mighty army was completely shattered. The mighty elephants panicked and fled in every direction. The horses lost control. Military formations collapsed. The very army that had come to destroy the Kaaba was now desperately struggling to save their own lives. Abraha looked around in horror. Before his eyes, thousands of his soldiers were being destroyed. Realizing defeat was inevitable, he ordered a retreat. The surviving soldiers fled towards Yemen, hoping to escape with their lives. But the decree of Allah had not yet come to an end. After fleeing from Mecca, Abraha and the few surviving soldiers began their long journey back to Yemen. But with each passing day, their condition grew worse. According to classical Islamic historical sources, the effects of Allah's punishment became increasingly evident upon Abraha. His body grew weak, painful wounds began to appear. One by one, his soldiers died along the road. The army that had once believed itself to be unstoppable was now broken, helpless, and consumed by fear. Abraha barely managed to reach Sana'a, but he was no longer the powerful ruler who had marched proudly toward Mecca. He had been completely humbled. Not long afterwards, Abraha died. The man who had set out to destroy the house of Allah could not even save his own life. The greatest military force of its time was utterly defeated before the decree of Allah, and the Kaaba remained untouched, protected by her Lord, exactly as he willed. After the destruction of the elephant army, the people of Mecca slowly came down from the surrounding mountains. They looked on in amazement. The sacred Kaaba stood completely untouched. Not a single stone had struck the house of Allah. The mighty army that had come to destroy the Kaaba had completely vanished. To preserve this miraculous event for all generations until the Day of Judgment, Allah revealed an entire chapter of the Holy Qur'an, Surah Al-Fil. Allah says, "Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant? Did he not make their plan go astray? and he sent against them flocks of birds, striking them with stones of baked clay. Then he made them like eaten straw. Surah Al-Fil, 105, 1-5. This remarkable event became forever known in history as the Year of the Elephant. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like, share, and subscribe for more authentic Islamic stories based on the Quran and reliable historical sources. Let us know in the comments which Islamic story you would like to watch next. Jazakum Allahu khairan. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you all.